What's up, guys? Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Eric Crocker, former NFL and AFL cornerback. How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just happy to be in your presence, man. Amin the Dream. I see that I'm the legend. I'm seeing that in the chats. You're the legend, dude.
Nah, you are, man. I'm just a young kid that enjoys sports. Well, let's jump right into it. Starting off with, is Baker Mayfield the long-term answer for the Browns?
Oh, that's a great question. I think he almost has to be. I mean, look at the Browns' history of at the quarterback position. Like they've been so bad for so long, and finally they win a playoff game with Baker Mayfield. It's if you don't, sign him to a big contract, if you don't pay him, what happens then? Do you end up back in quarterback purgatory where they've been for so many years? So I think by default, I think he is the long term answer. But I think sometimes that's what you get yourself into when you draft a guy that doesn't have like the high ceiling, and you kind of realize with Baker Mayfield, a lot of things have to be perfect around him for him to be good. When it's not, it doesn't look too great. So I think that's what the Browns are kind of dealing with right now.
So the way I look at it is, for me personally, I don't think Baker Mayfield's a long-term answer. Now, I completely understand because I know the Browns have a horrible history of drafting quarterbacks. Just like at Johnny Manziel, obviously him, and like a bunch of other quarterbacks that they drafted, Brady Quinn, bunch of other quarterbacks. You could go back for almost like
Yeah.
15 years and you can see how many bad quarterbacks they drafted. But Baker Mayfield to me isn't the answer for the Browns. I do not think Baker Mayfield can win a Super Bowl with the Browns. Now, the way I look at it is obviously he's okay. He's not great in my opinion, but the way I look at it is like, let's say Baker Mayfield is they're in the playoffs and they're going up against Mahomes or Josh Allen. Do I think Baker Mayfield and the Browns with Baker Mayfield at quarterback can go up and beat Josh Allen and the Bills or go up and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? I don't think so, and for that reason, I don't think he necessarily can win a Super Bowl with the Browns. And plus, I feel like Baker Mayfield is a quarterback who has more and he does less with more. Where like when you look at guys like Russell Wilson, they do more with less. The way I look at Baker Mayfield is that he does less with more. So I don't think Baker Mayfield is a long term answer for quarterback, especially for the Browns.
I th- I think if the Browns want him to be the guy, they want him to be a long term answer there. I think they have to figure out a way to just continue to build more around him, especially on the defense side of the ball. I think they have the right recipe for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Build off the run game, right? The play action passes with the deep shots and deep crossers. I think he works well and efficient in that role. And then, defensively, have guys like Myles Garrett and those guys really get after it. And they've been drafting defensive guys, kind of loading up on that side of the ball. Then they got to continue to do that. And you have to make it to where it's not Baker versus Patrick Mahomes. You got to make it to where it's the Browns against Patrick Mahomes. And if you look at it from that standpoint, I think that's where Baker Mayfield have his most success. Now the big issue is it's not even so much, if he is the long-term answer, it's if they have to pay him all that money, right? Which, the market for a quarterback is going up. I mean, he might end up
Yeah.
having to get 140, $150 million. Are you going to be able to build that type of roster that you need around him for him to be successful? And I think that's where the issue lies. But what's the alternative, right? Like if you don't have Baker Mayfield, what do you go
Yeah.
with if you're the Browns? And I think that's they're going to get in a sticky situation because he is a solid quarterback, but he's just
hmm
not that guy to take you over the top.
Yeah. I mean, but the team is still pretty good. Like, I mean, the Browns, they have Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. They improved that defense also this year by adding, I forgot who they took from the Rams, John Johnson, who's a safety for the Rams, who was balling out last year. So they got some guys. It's honestly, yeah, I don't know if Baker Mayfield can take him over the hump, like you said. So moving on to the next topic is, will Cam be in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, another great question. All right, and when I look at that, I mean, just I'm gonna say no. Now I really like Cam Newton. I really like Cam Newton. I think he's been this polarizing figure, a big guy. If you look at just his path to the NFL, a guy that was at Florida, got kicked out or whatever happened, left, went to Blinn Junior College in Texas, won a championship there, went to Auburn, won a championship there. First overall pick in the NFL, was the offensive rookie of the year. You know, broke like the record for most passing yards by a rookie in a season. He's had all these great accomplishments. 2015 NFL MVP, but I don't think he's done enough to be a Hall of Fame candidate. Definitely will be someone that everybody remembers, almost like a Michael Vick. I put him in that same category. Michael Vick, polarizing figure. He brought that swagger, that athleticism, that speed. Was kind of the leader of kind of the black quarterbacks and how they were viewed, right? Like everybody wanted the prototypical quarterback. They didn't look like Michael Vick. Michael Vick, he started to kind of change that, and you start to see more of the African American quarterbacks kind of get into the NFL. Cam Newton is a product of that as well, and we continue to see guys of that descent coming to the NFL. But if he's going to make the NFL, the Hall of Fame, it won't be because of his play. It might be because he's just a polarizing figure. But I don't think so. I'd say no.
I don't think Cam Newton deserves to be Hall of Fame. Now, obviously, he doesn't have that ring, but like you look at some of the guys that don't have a ring that do make it to Hall of Fame, like Dan Marino has over 400 touchdowns, just an amazing quarterback. Like the stats don't lie, he has over 400 touchdowns, great quarterback. Where if you look at Cam's stats, obviously he's a good quarterback, but he doesn't have the ring, and then also his stats aren't that great to like those guys that do make the Hall of Fame and that don't have a ring. So I don't think Cam deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Just
and
that's
sometimes it's
my
not.
opinion.
Sometimes it's not like overall stats. It could just be like impact, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how much of an impact did he have at least in the time that he played? And I think from that standpoint, it's even then it's just not big enough. Look at a guy like Terrell Davis, right? Terrell Davis maybe played 7 years in the NFL. It's not like he played a ton of years, but in the little years that he did play, like his impact was just so big. And I think that's what
Yep.
helped a guy like Terrell Davis get to the NFL. Being a part of two Super Bowl winning teams, almost being the reason why Elway was able to get two Super Bowls. Cam Newton, he just hasn't had that type of impact on the team.
Yep. Well, moving on to the next topic. Who is the best team in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
Man, this is gonna pain me. This is gonna pain me to say this. As a 49er fan, it's gonna pain me. And because of my brother is a big fan of this team, huge fan. I have to hear his mouth all the time. I think the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Now that's a little controversial because they just got beat down by the Denver Broncos, and I don't know what happened in that game, but I think that was a one-off. Every other
Yep.
game that we've seen so far, outside of the Week 1 game where it was really a shootout against the Buccaneers,
Mm-hmm.
the Cowboys have been pretty dominant on both sides of the ball. I think Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP caliber level. I think their defense flies around. They make plays. They have the ball hawk cornerback and Trevon Diggs, who potentially can be Defensive Player of the Year. There's just so many good things that they have going for themselves. A running game. They got the star-studded receivers. I don't know what the Cowboys' weakness is. And because of that,
Mm-hmm.
again, they had a down game against the Broncos, but every other game they've been dominant, man, really dominant. I just think they're too good at the right spot. So I'm going to say Dallas Cowboys.
Now, I was gonna say the Dallas Cowboys also. I mean, outside, like you said, outside that Denver game, the Dallas Cowboys have been so dominant. And obviously, coming into the season, our biggest concern is like that defense because that defense has been struggling. They got some guys in that defense like DeMarcus Lawrence. They had Jalen Smith coming into the year. Micah Parsons who they drafted this year. They had some guys in that defense. The defense, just as a unit, wasn't playing well. This year, you add Dan Quinn to the equation. This year, the defense has been playing pretty good in that offense with Zeke, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. It's been pretty darn good this year. And they're outside of that Denver game, they've been pretty dominant this year. And that other game that they lost to the Bucks, that was a shootout. So I'm gonna say
Yeah,
the Dallas Cowboys. As much as it hurts to say, it's the Dallas Cowboys. And speaking
it
of
does.
a star on the Dallas Cowboys, Trevon Diggs, man, like Trevon Diggs can force turnovers. Like he's a turnover machine. 8 interceptions already. He's a turnover machine. So that's also a huge help for them in Trevon Diggs.
Yeah, man, the cornerback position is so difficult to play. And everybody, they'll pick on certain guys on the 49ers. Oh, this guy is not good. He's not
I
good.
see your
If you
tweets
just
sometimes. Like I see your tweets like how like sometimes like you'll see like a receiver grabbing a cornerback and you'll be like they called
yeah,
pass interference on the corner. What is this? Like I see you sometimes
you
you're
know,
defending the cornerbacks.
it's so hard. It's so difficult to play the cornerback position with just how the passing game is in today's game. Just it's so spread, it's wide open. That makes it difficult. The rules against cornerbacks, that makes it difficult. But I will say this. One thing about cornerbacks, if you get beat on a play, whatever, you got to get that out of your head. The thing I think that should really be big that people focus on the most is a guy taking the ball away, right? Like you're gonna give up some scores. You're gonna give up some touchdowns. Even Trevon Diggs, he gave up a 75-yard touchdown to
Yeah.
Kendrick Bourne. You're gonna get beat in the NFL. It's just too hard to play a position. But can you take the ball away? Can you make those game changing plays? And I think that's what Trevon Diggs is doing better than anybody in the NFL right now.
Now, obviously, he's getting those turnovers, but like he's on track to allow like almost 1,000 yard season just on him. Like he's allowing a lot of receiving yards. He's getting beat
Right.
a lot, but he's also creating turnovers. So
See what I'm saying? People, they don't care if you're taking the ball away and you're making those big plays that's helping put your team in position to score. Man, you can give up some yards here and there. You can give up a penalty, right? But see, that's the
mhm.
issue with the 49ers DBs. They've given up plays, but they're not really
But
making
yeah,
plays.
they're
So when
not
the
getting
49ers start
turnovers. They're
taking the
not
ball
creating
away,
turnovers. Yep.
yeah, you create those turnovers, get those takeaways. People forget about that 20-yard catch you gave up.
Yep. That is true, especially with Trevon Diggs. That is pretty much true. Well, speaking of Trevon Diggs, because of Trevon Diggs' amazing season with the interceptions, people have been saying Diggs versus Ramsey. So who do you think is the better cornerback, Trevon Diggs or Jalen Ramsey? Now we're not talking all time, just this season. Who do you think is the better quarterback, cornerback?
Oh man, I so they've been used different this year, but I got to go with Jalen Ramsey. And it's hard for me to get out of my head how consistent he's been throughout his entire career. So with Diggs, he's come on strong this year and he's making plays and it's awesome. Like it's great. Every play seems like he's doing something big. But with Jalen Ramsey, just his impact on the field, his like aggressiveness, his mindset, like, watching him against the 49ers that almost pick six when he broke up the pass that was intended for Brandon Ayuk and then like snatching his arm away and like talking trash to the defense. Like, I love that. I love everything about Jalen Ramsey, how he carries himself, and how difficult of a position they put him in, playing him at more of a nickel spot now. So I got to go with Ramsey, but holler at me at the end of the year, and I might go with Diggs. We'll see.
Well, I'm gonna say Ramsey too, man. Ramsey's just been so consistent, like you said. Ramsey's been so consistent. Last year he was the best cornerback in the league, and I mean this year I could say also he's the best cornerback in the league. Now obviously he's not getting the turnovers like Trevon Diggs is, but he has 3 interceptions this year, and he's been pretty good. Jalen Ramsey overall, he's been pretty consistent. I love the way he trash talks the receivers, and I remember that one time I saw him like
Mm-hmm.
trash talking to Brady in the AFC Championship game. That was like 3 years ago, but Jalen Ramsey, love his swagger. He's just a consistent quarterback. And Trevon Diggs, I mean, he's only done this for like 1 year now. He's coming on strong this year, but he hasn't been consistent like Jalen Ramsey has for pretty much his entire career. So I'm gonna say Jalen Ramsey.
Yep. I agree. I
Jamal
agree.
says Trevon Diggs' for error is so little though. If he didn't get those picks, he wouldn't be that good because he gives up a ton of yardage. Better keep those picks up.
Hey, but like I said, if you can give up some plays, it's hard to cover in the NFL. You can give up some plays, but if you're taking the ball away 8 times in the first half of the season, man, give up 20-yard catch, give up a 30-yard catch, give up a 15-yard catch, whatever. Those things are going to happen. Teams are going to move the ball regardless. But if you're taking the ball away and giving your offense a chance to score, I think that's what's most important at the defensive back position in today's game.
Well, moving on. This week we have a pretty good matchup. Now, we obviously know the Chiefs have been struggling this year and the Cowboys have been dominating. Like we said before earlier on the podcast, that the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL, which I thought would never come out of my mouth the whole year this year. But the Cowboys and the Chiefs are playing this Sunday. Who do you think is going to win and why?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. And again, this is something else I just never thought I would say, and it pains me to say it. Like, I really despise the Dallas Cowboys. I have to hear my brother's mouth the whole time, but I just feel like the way the Cowboys are built, how opportunistic they've been with taking the ball away. And we talk about Diggs, but I mean they got Anthony Brown. He's doing his thing. Parsons might be defensive rookie of the year. Like, they just have all these pieces, and I think they're going to make life tough on the Chiefs, who aren't playing their best brand of football. The Chiefs are, yeah, they had a big coming out game, I guess, against the Oakland Raiders. But I think a big part of that was the Raiders just couldn't really do anything offensively. The
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, they're going to challenge the Chiefs defense.
Yep.
Like they're going to push the ball down the field. I think they're going to be consistent with moving the ball, scoring points. They got the run game going. They got the pass game going. And then the defense with Patrick Mahomes, he's up there near the top of the league with interceptions thrown this year. And he's thrown
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of other interceptable passes. I think Cowboys they're playing defense right now to really take advantage of that. So again, I'm gonna have to go with the Dallas Cowboys, and it pains me to say it because I
It
hate them,
does.
but I gotta go with the Cowboys.
Now, I've always been a believer of Mahomes, especially like coming into the season. Obviously, we know what happened in the Super Bowl. But my whole theory with Mahomes was that like you're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs, especially with Mahomes in the center, if you unless you outscore Mahomes in the Chiefs, because that was how you pretty much couldn't stop the Chiefs offense. I mean, just look at last 2019 division around. The Texans were up by like 20, and I was playing basketball, and I went to my basketball game, and by when I came out, the Chiefs were up like 56-20. Like
Mm,
that's how good the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are dominant. And coming into the season, I thought they're gonna be dominant again this year. Obviously, they're not. But the reason I'm picking the Cowboys is obviously their offense is really good, but the Chiefs' defense has been struggling this year, and it's been struggling mightily this year. And if you look at some of the losses the Chiefs had, it's been against really good offenses like the Bills, like the Ravens, and the Cowboys are also a really good offense. And for that reason, I'm saying the Cowboys are going to beat the Chiefs because the Cowboys just have a great offense, and the Chiefs defense has been really bad this year. It's been really bad, and that's why I feel like they're not winning games because the Chiefs defense just hasn't been good this year. And Mahomes, he's putting the balls in harm's way, so that's not also helping the team at all. So I'm gonna say the Cowboys.
yep, I agree. I agree. Now here's how the Chiefs can win. If Mahomes doesn't turn the ball over, Mahomes doesn't turn the ball over, that's going to definitely give them a chance. And they're typically a well coached game, but they got to take care of the ball.
Yep. Mahomes has been turning it over this year. That's the only thing. Like Mahomes, the Chiefs have been able to pull off wins this year. But if you look at some of the wins, like the Eagles, the Eagles, Raiders, obviously they had the teams that they beat. You could say they don't have winning records. Some of the teams that they beat, Eagles,
Right.
Giants, they beat teams that they're supposed to be and that they should be and they're capable of beating. But if they able to beat some of the playoff teams like the Bills, like the Chargers, no.
Right.
Moving on, let start sit cut. Who would
All
you
right.
start? Who would you sit? And who would you cut? Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, and Marlon Humphrey. So who would you
Oh, I
start?
love
Who
it.
would you sit? And who would you cut?
Well, you guys have already heard me, profess my love for Jalen Ramsey. So I'm gonna have to start Jalen Ramsey. And I'm actually going to kind of stick to this order. I'm going to sit Alexander and cut Humphrey. And I like Humphrey a lot. But Alexander, there's just something about him. Again, I'm really big on the way, like, just somebody carries himself. And the way that Jair Alexander walks around is like, I know I'm the guy. Like, and he has just this confidence that's at like an all time high. I mean, I've seen him get beaten games and then turn around and get an interception. He doesn't let anything get him down, he doesn't let a moment get him down. So, Humphrey, I like him. I like his versatility. I like his ability to, cover any type of receiver. I can't get out of my head him just getting worked for like 200 yards by Jamar Chase. Like that was
Yeah,
tough to watch. I mean, it was tough. So just seeing that again, Jamar Chase having a terrific rookie year, but it's like I don't think that would happen to Ramsey, and I don't think that happened to
yeah,
Alexander either. So
yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go with those guys. Start Ramsey, sit Alexander, cut Humphrey.
Yep. Now, obviously, I'm starting Ramsey. I think Ramsey's the best quarterback in the game. Period. No questions asked. Now, second best quarterback in the game, I think is Jair Alexander. So I'm gonna sit Jair Alexander and Marlon Humphrey, like you mentioned. That Jamar Chase game just horrific, just straight up horrific. For Marlon Humphrey to get beat by a rookie, like that was not pretty. Especially 200 yards, that was just not pretty.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
got
cut
torched.
Marlon Humphrey. I'm gonna sit Jair Alexander, and I'm gonna start Jalen Ramsey.
All right, so we're on the same page.
Yup. Moving on to some other corners. Some guys that also are top 10 in the league. Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, and Marshawn Lattimore. Who would you start? Who would you sit in? Who would you cut? Now this one's a little bit more tough, right? Because we already know Ramsey and Alexander. Those are two of the best in the game.
Right.
But this one is a little bit tricky. It's kind of like who you think is just better.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to start Howard. And the reason why I'm going to start Howard is because I am going to, I value the ball skills. I value his ability to take the ball away. And I think right now in today's game, if you could do that, you really help the offense out. So I'm gonna start Howard. I'm actually gonna cut White because I just prioritize like sticky man-to-man coverage. And Lattimore, while he is kind of a little bit inconsistent, he can be. If it's a big time matchup, he gets up for that, and he's gonna challenge receivers. He's gonna be in their face. He's gonna make life tough on them. So because of that, I'm gonna sit Lattimore and I'm gonna cut White. So I'm going with start Howard, sit Lattimore, cut White. And I like White. That hurts me. He was actually my CB1 in the class he was coming out with Lattimore in that same class.
Well, this one I think we're gonna disagree on because I'm really not that high on Xavier Howard. Now, obviously, I know he's had those interceptions last year, but this year sometimes I've seen him get beat, and for me personally, I would start Tre'Davious White. I just love Tre'Davious White. I don't know what it is, but I feel like Tre'Davious White just better out of these guys that I mentioned. So I'm starting Tre'Davious White. I'm going to sit Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, he does come up for big time games, but Marshawn Lattimore, I would definitely not start him, especially what I saw against DK. I watched that Monday Night game and I was like, oh, DK is just torching Marshawn Lattimore a little bit. They got a little bit of their scuffles a little
But
bit, but
hold on. We got to talk about it. He only had 2 catches in that game, and he was targeted like 7 times. So I get it. The one was a big play, and that big play would have been wiped out if the safety would have just. First of all, they should have called offensive pass interference, and then the safety missed the tackle. So I think it made it like worse. Outside of that, he had one more catch for it was like
he only had two
8 yards
catches
or
for
something like that.
96 yards and a touchdown. It
Right?
wasn't that many receptions, but that one big
Yeah.
play,
I know.
which just
I
just
know. That's
wasn't
tough.
pretty. It just wasn't
Yeah.
pretty. And then and then obviously I'm gonna cut Howard. I'm not that high on Howard. Obviously, he has those interceptions, but I'm not that high on Howard.
Right.
That's my brother.
He wants to get in. He said, "Let me in."
He always wants to come in my room. That's just the stuff with my brother. My brother just likes to hang out with me. I don't know. He every minute he likes to knock on my door and likes to bother me 24/7. So that's just
Listen,
my
that
brother.
was me. That was me and my big brother. I was the little brother, so I was like your brother, banging to, hey, like let me in, brother, let me in. So yeah, that's just because he loves you. I still look up to my
I
brother to
know
this
that, but
day.
sometimes it's just annoying. Like he'll light this mentality. Sometimes like I'll eating food, and then he wants some food, and he'll take all my food and just eat it all up, and I'm like, all right, so I gotta make more. All right, he just wants everything that I want. So
He's
moving
always
on
gonna
to
take your
the,
stuff, even when you guys are adults.
I gotta take all my stuff to college. Okay, I'm not giving him nothing. I'm just playing. But moving on, this one, I want to get your thoughts because obviously I know you played corner. Who are your top five cornerbacks of all time?
Oh, another great question. All right. Now, the guys I'm gonna name are guys that I actually got to watch them and I got to feel their presence like while watching them, like how impactful they were during games. And sometimes, people will be like top 5 point guards of all time. They'll be like Magic Johnson. And it's like, well, I never watched Magic Johnson ever play. So I can't say him, right? But guys that I just watched play, I'm gonna start with Deion Sanders. Like Deion was the guy I wanted to be. I when I was out there on the playground, I would catch an interception. I'm high stepping. I'm doing all that. All right. So I
Time,
always
time.
wanted to be Deion. I got pictures of me in high school on picture day with the headband around my neck. I wanted to be like Deion Sanders, just definitely wasn't nowhere near fast enough. All right. So Deion, that's my number one guy. Number one. All right. Now it starts to get a little tough because there's a few guys kind of jumbled in there. But I don't know if I can like put these guys in the order. Do I have to rank them in order, or can I just give you the 4 guys?
You could just give five guys, okay? Because it's kind of hard to
Okay,
give it in order because there's some guys that are just great, like Dion. Obviously, Dion's obviously number one in pretty
yeah.
much
So
everybody's
Dion,
list.
he's number one.
Yeah.
All right, now my next four, like, and again, this is just me. This is my list. My next 4 guys, I got Darrell Revis,
Mm-hmm.
Champ Bailey,
Yep.
Charles Woodson,
Okay.
and Richard Sherman. I'm gonna go with Richard Sherman. Those are kind of my top five. And it's like Patrick Peterson, he's right there in the mix, but I'm gonna go with Richard Sherman. Uh, those are just the guys that I feel like. Oh, I can't leave out Cromartie because I wanted to be like Cromartie. See, it's tough. It's tough, but I'll kind of throw, Cromartie's right there in the mix too. Those are guys that I watched a ton of them. I admired their game. Charles Woodson, first of all, I've always been a big 49er fan, but I had like a big poster of Charles Woodson in the Raiders uniform on my door. Like when I was in high school and stuff, if you were to try to go to my room, go on my door, right there before you enter, you just see a big old
Are you
poster of Charles
actually an
Woodson.
Niners fan, Crockett? I don't know.
Oh, I
I would
love my
never have
Niners.
anything Raiders in my room. Okay,
I know
I don't
that's
care who
tough,
it
but
was. Like Raiders, come on, man.
I know it's tough, but like I loved Woodson, and there's just guys that I just love, like me and Ramsey, right? Like I just love watching Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
I loved watching Woodson, and yeah, so Woodson, but Cromartie, he was a guy, when I was like in like junior college or something like that, maybe even like my senior high school, somewhere around there. I actually Cromartie had a Twitter account, and it was like Crow Time, so it was like CRO and then like underscore time. And that was how I got Croc Time. So everybody thinks Croc Time came from because I used that for a long time. Everybody thought Croc Time came from Prime Time, Deion Sanders, but it actually came from because of Cromartie. So I used to watch Cromartie. I was a taller, longer cornerback. I would watch his YouTube videos and like watch the things that he did. One of my big cousins, he's been a big mentor of mine. He actually played with the San Diego Chargers at the same time as Cromartie. They were actually rookies the same year. And like I just always like I wanted to be around that. Like I wanted to see those guys. So Cromartie, he's got to be in my. It's tough. I can't just say 5. I got to go 6. I got to extend it to Cromartie.
Honorable mention. Honorable mention.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm taking from my list. I'm gonna take Deion first. Now, obviously, we already know Deion's the best cornerback of all time. Period. No questions about it. Prime time, great player. Also great in like punt returns. I know the Falcons in for punt returns and kick returns. Great player. Played for the Falcons. I think Falcons, Niners, and Cowboys. So and Ravens also. So great cornerback. Obviously the best. No questions asked. Now from 2 to 5, I'm not gonna give a specific order because it's just too hard to give it in like specific order. So I'm gonna have Darrell Revis in there. Obviously Darrell Revis. Darrell Revis got to be in there. Revis Island. We already know about that.
And that was a real island. Listen, real quick before you continue, you know, when I was with the Jets, I watched a ton of Revis's film from the year before, and on film they'd have coverages where like they'd have a single high safety, and they'd shade the safety somewhere else, and they just leave Revis just literally on an island. Like he'd be impressed against a receiver, and he had absolutely no help. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Um, Obviously Revis is up there. I'm gonna take Champ Bailey also. Champ Bailey had a 15-year career, 12-time Pro Bowler. Speaks for itself. Champ Bailey's definitely up there. I'm not gonna put Richard Sherman up there. Now, the only reason I like Richard Sherman, but he played for Seattle, is just kind of a little bit of bias in there. But like one thing I used to always copy of Richard Sherman is so we used to play football and like recess time and all that. So sometimes I would play cornerback, and like I would shut down like kids, and I would be like, "I'm the best corner in the game." When you try me with the sorry receiver, that's what you gonna get. So I always
Yeah.
gonna say that to my opponent, to my receiver. So that's what I always used to say. But still, I'm not gonna put Sherman up there. I'm gonna put Rod Woodson up there. Rod Woodson, 11-time
Okay.
Pro Bowler. He could do it all. Rod Woodson. I'm gonna put Rod Woodson up there. Obviously, Champ Bailey. I'm gonna put up there. I'm gonna put Mel Blount also up there. I'm gonna put him up there
Okay.
also. 4-time Super Bowl champion. Great corner. Obviously, I didn't get to see him, but I have went and watched his highlights. So I'm gonna also put him up there. And I think that's my 5, right? Revis, Blount, Mel Blount, and then Deion Sanders, obviously. And I forgot who I put last. I know I got Bailey, Blount, Revis, Woodson. I forgot Woodson. Rod Woodson, not Charles Woodson. Rod Woodson and Deion. So that's probably my top 5 cornerbacks of all time.
Really talented guys, really talented group. And I got to watch I didn't get to watch Mel Blount, but I got to watch like Rod Woodson. I remember him when he was on the 49ers. I watched that. Yeah, so it's cool. I got to watch all the guys that you really like.
Well, question for you, because I remember I sometimes go back and watch like the old Hard Knocks and stuff like that. And there was one time Jets Hard Knocks with Rex Ryan and Revis was renegotiating his contract, and there was that huge
Yeah.
issue, and he wouldn't like show up, and then Rex went to his house and tried to renegotiate the contract, and he wasn't there, something like that. Were you playing for the Jets at the same time that Revis was trying to get that contract, get that back?
No, I think I came maybe the next year or so. I was like shortly after that. Because even the year I was there, they ended up trading Revis that during that offseason. So Revis showed up. He was rehabbing with a torn ACL, and I remember just being in, and everybody loved Revis, but yeah, they ended up trading him to Tampa Bay for a first round pick. So they still had the contract issues. John Idzik wasn't able, the GM at the time wasn't able to resolve it, so they ended up just trading him away.
The GM, I thought it was Mike Tannenbaum. I thought he was the GM of
Not
the
when I
Jets.
was there.
Oh,
Maybe Idzik came. Idzik was the GM when I was there, so he probably just got there. And
no.
I see people sometimes. I saw somebody. I think it was Robert Sala's brother, and he had tweeted about, oh, the teams got worse. The longer you were there, Rex, like the roster got worse. And Rex Ryan, he didn't have any roster control. Like, so I know we see like Kyle Shanahan, he had so much control. Rex Ryan, he didn't have any control over who they drafted or anything like that. He could suggest like, hey, can you sign one of my old veteran guys that played with me before? But overall, like, he didn't have roster control like that.
I don't know if you saw, you probably know, but like the Rex Ryan Robert Sala beef.
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard about that. That was pretty
I saw.
interesting. That was pretty interesting. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I got to side with my guy, Sexy Rexy Ryan, man. Rex Ryan, I get what he's saying, and it's tough. Anything, and you'll get this, man. Like, as you grow, and if podcasting is something that you continue to want to aspire to be, you're going to be really good. Like, you're going to be great at whatever it is that you do, right? And if you do something at a very high level, and then people are telling you that, hey, this guy is like you, man. And you're gonna be like, how is this guy like me? Like, he hasn't done or accomplished anything like I did for over a period of time. And I think that's how Rex is looking at it. Rex is a trash talker by nature, but he's looking at it like, dude, like, I coached like multiple, like, top three, top five teams, like, all these years. I did this, did that, coached a team to two AFC championship games,
Mm-hmm.
like with Mark Sanchez at quarterback.
Yeah.
Had a lot of success with the Baltimore Ravens. It's like Salah had 1 year where his team was a top defense. Outside of that, he's like, you can't compare this guy to me. So I get where he's coming from. And if
Mm-hmm.
you know Rex Ryan, he's someone that takes a lot of pride in his work and the things that he's done, his name and all that. So I think that's what that was about.
No, I definitely agree with Rex. I mean, like Rex, obviously, I know he took the Jets to, like, two AFC championship with Mark Sanchez, and I mean Robert Sala. He made a good case. Like Robert Sala, his team has sat last. The Niners sat last in the division, and even with the Jets, like, I mean, the Jets aren't doing that great also this year. And I mean, Rex Ryan was the last coach to take the Jets to the playoffs, especially to the AFC championship game. So yeah, I side with Rex Ryan a little bit. You understand? I understand
Yeah.
where he's coming from.
I like Robert Sala, and I hope it
Mm-hmm.
comes together for him. But it's tough, especially starting over with a rookie quarterback, which is why
Yep.
I was saying I probably would have kept Sam Darnold, even though he hasn't looked very good. But it's tough when you get attached to a rookie quarterback. Now Zach Wilson has to work, or Robert Sala won't last long.
Yep. He definitely has to work. I mean, you got to give it time, right? Because the Jets, they're still a rebuilding team. Wilson, obviously, he's gonna have his struggles. Where if you look at guys like Mac Jones is in a great situation. Obviously, Jay Lance, he's hopefully in a great situation, depending on how well he develops. But he's still in a pretty darn good situation. I think the Niners are still a decent team. Where we look at like Lawrence and Wilson, and even Fields, those guys are in okay to horrible situations. Now the Bears is okay, but I feel like Nagy should be gone. Nagy should have been gone this season, even before the season started. I don't know why Nagy's still the head coach of the Bears, but the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Jets are just two teams that are going to take some time to rebuild.
Yep, definitely.
Question from Jamal. Bonus question: who had the single greatest cornerback season you have seen?
Oh, I gotta go with Revis. Like the year Revis had when he got the whole Revis Island. I mean, he was shutting down big name receiver after big name receiver. I mean, and really shutting them down, holding them to like 30 yards, like at most. I mean, he did a terrific job that year. I want to say he was maybe defensive MVP. Like, just a season like that for a cornerback is just unprecedented. Like, you don't see guys take on that type of challenge, shadowing guys and having that type of success the way he did. So I'm gonna have to go with that year. Revis did that. Yeah, definitely got to go with Revis that year. And it was maybe 2000, maybe 2010, somewhere around there. 2009, 2010. It was somewhere around there. He did that.
Well, this is a little bit of old school, and I don't know if this is necessarily like the best, but this is just one that comes to mind. Is 1990 Rod Woodson, 66 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble and 3 fumble recoveries. Now, obviously, that's just one that comes to mind. There's a lot of many great ones, and you also mentioned a great one, but there's not like that many coming to mind. So I'm gonna take Rod Woodson in 1990.
Oh,
But
hold on. I mean, we want to go back. Deion Sanders, 1994 with the San Francisco 49ers. Six
MVP
interceptions,
season.
didn't even play a full season. Six picks, took three of them back to the crib, had another interception in the postseason, obviously contributed to the 49ers winning a Super Bowl, one defensive
Yep.
MVP.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big time year. Big time year.
Yep. I wish he stayed on the Niners longer because then he went to the Cowboys. And then
Yeah.
he won some Super Bowls with them and Jerry Jones. I wish he stayed on the Niners longer. But I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Jamal said, agreed. Revis is the greatest I've ever witnessed with my own eyes. Namadi Asumuga has
Namdi Asamoga.
I can't
I mean
say his last name.
Asamoah. Namdi Asamoah. He had
Isn't
a
he
really
isn't
good
he the
season.
quarter
He
didn't he
did.
play for the Raiders also? Didn't he play for the Raiders and then I forgot who else he played for?
When he was with the Raiders, he had a terrific season. He actually did play with the Niners for a little bit. What year were you born?
I was born 2007.
Oh yeah, 7. You're the same age as my son. So you were his year with the Raiders that was like really good. You were probably like 3 years old or so. Like you were like 2 or 3. But not Nandi Asamoah had a great year. He did. He did.
Yeah, I know I wasn't born, but I like to like watch NFL films and I just like to go back and like go and do my research about Joe Montana, go do my research about stuff because I'm just a football fanatic and like sports fanatic in general. So I go and do my research. So
I think the year you were born, Sean Taylor died. I think.
yeah, and then I was also the same year that Jamarcus Russell got drafted. It was like one of the biggest busts. And then
Oh
kind of
yeah.
we pushed aside Ryan Leaf, and then we started talking about Jamarcus Russell as one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Could
Yeah.
have had Calvin Johnson. I mean, just saying, could have had Calvin Johnson. Pinor says awesome Mawa. I'm pretty sure he's trying to say the last name. I still can't say his last name, so I'm not
Asamoah. There we go.
awesome
Asamoah. Not
awesome
Namdi Asamoah.
awesome. All right, and then final topic. We talked about some football, but I want to get your thoughts because I know I don't know if you grew up watching football, but who did you watch or idolize growing up? Which NFL player did you watch or idolize growing up?
Oh, wait, like just players?
Yeah, NFL player.
Oh, Deion
Who that's
Sanders
like
for sure.
how players have guys that they wanted to be like when they grow up and if they play in the NFL, their idol, someone that
Deion
they want to be.
Sanders. It was Deion. Like I wanted to be like Deion Sanders. Like just his how he carried himself. Like just the swag, all that. Like I wanted to mimic all that. It was just I watched everything you could watch on Deion Sanders. Like that was the guy that I definitely want to be like. And then there were other guys too that I was like, man, I really like this dude. I wanted to kind of do what this dude is doing. Like Brandon Lloyd. Brandon Lloyd he played with the Niners. This was a little bit before you were born, but Brandon Lloyd, he was making the Odell Beckham catches before Odell Beckham. But it was just a dark time. When he was drafted to the 49ers, they were just so bad. But I was in high school. So I'm in high school watching Brandon Lloyd make all these spectacular catches. And that was the guy that, I really wanted to try to, be like on the receiver side of the ball.
I mean, Dion was great. Prime time. I mean, prime time just had the swagger to it. I mean, like there's a lot of kids that grew up wanting to be like prime time. He just had that swag. Notorious GAV says, Crocker, did you wear that do rag under your helmet like Dion too?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you see my helmet right here. I wore the same face mask as him and everything. So
Damn, you really were Dion. You really like Dion when you wore that.
yeah, same face mask as Dion. Yeah.
Deion Sanders is the GOAT. He was the only player to play baseball, Major League World Series, and NFL Super Bowl in the same year.
Yep. Played 8 years professionally, baseball, major leagues.
Really? 8 years?
I know, yeah. It doesn't seem like it, but yeah, he played 8 years in the Major League Baseball. Played for like San
Damn.
Francisco Giants. Played for the Cleveland, Cincinnati Reds. Played for the Yankees. Yeah, nah, he was Atlanta Braves. He was a legit baseball player.
The only guy that I remember who played, the only guy that comes to mind that I remember outside of Deion was like, I remember Bo Jackson. He played for the Royals. He played for the
He was
Royals, and
good.
he was good. Yeah, he was just
He was like an
athletically
all
gifted.
star.
He was like the most athletically gifted people. Like so. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
that basically wraps for the show. I appreciate you giving me your time, Croc. I know you're a pretty busy dude, so I appreciate you giving me some of your time. It was an honor to have you on. We'll have you on soon, sooner or later. Glad to have you on. If you're not already subscribed to Eric Crocker, go do so. I mean, you pretty much everybody's probably subscribed to me, is subscribed to you. But if you're like one of those like 1 in 1 million people that aren't subscribed to Eric Crocker, go do so.
Ah, man.
You're missing out. The link is in the description. Go follow him on Twitter if you haven't already. The link is also in the description. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go do so. Hit the channel with the subscribe. Hit the video with the like. It'll be greatly appreciated. I appreciate you for joining me, and we'll see you guys later.